Have you ever, have you ever been in a place in life that you just couldn't wait what you were hoping for would happen? For instance, like Christmas. Like Christmas Eve, your mom or dad or whomever, your guardian said, go to sleep so Christmas Day could come. And you were in anticipation, but you could hardly wait until the next day because you didn't know exactly what you were going to get, but you just knew Christmas Day was going to be full of fun and excitement, and so you had anticipation. Or an event, whether it's a concert, whether it's a church service or a revival, or meeting a friend or greeting a loved one you're not seeing for a while, you just had that anticipation. Listen, that's the kind of program that I'm looking forward to today with my friend Tommy Rice. Stay tuned. You are going to be blessed. Call your friends. Call everybody. You're going to be blessed. Hold on. We'll be back. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome again to another edition of Defining Moments. I'm your host, Larry Nix, and I appreciate you being here. Blessed Tuesday. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I appreciate you being here. I know this. I don't take you for granted. I know that for 60 minutes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you park here and because you trust me. You trust that I'm not going to meander. I'm not going to mismanage your time with foolishness. But my only desire is to inspire, is to encourage you, is to and even challenge you and remind you that you're here by divine appointment, not incidentally, coincidentally, but you're here providentially. God had a plan for you, and God has a purpose for you. And my desire is that you are blessed and you are encouraged with hope. Listen, I appreciate you joining me. Sometimes I have a little longer monologue, but I'm not going to mismanage that today because I have such a wonderful friend here, and his testimony, his story, it is such a blessing that I want him to share it with you. And I've got to say hello to some of the people that are streaming me. You're always here. Sister Winsley, saw you at church Sunday. It was such a blessing to see you. I enjoy having all of those of you who chime in, whether live or you come back and you watch me on in archive. I'm always blessed to have you with me. Thank you very much. But I have to just shout out to those senior citizens of mine who take time to say, listen, I watch you every week. So Sister Winsley, thank you, sir, so very much. I'm going to jump into it. I asked my guest, Tommy Rice, so I'm going to do the introduction a little different today. Prior to coming off on the air, I asked him because his life has been laced with difficult seasons, all right, hard seasons, and he's still standing. And I asked him before coming on the air, I said, have you ever told God, even in the depths of your hard season, enough? And his response to me, I'm going to let him respond to me on air what he told me. Tommy Rice, what did you tell me when I said, have you ever told God, particularly in some seasons that you've shared with me, that it just seems like it was relentless. It never stopped. The pounding never stopped. Your response to me was and is,
I don't want to miss my blessings.
Tommy Rice, what does that mean?
Well, it's the hard times you grow the most. It's the hard time you see really the miracles Jesus can do for you, and you create a strong relationship with him. And that's what life is all about.
Then I asked him another question. I said, do you get sick of difficulties and hardness? And he said, difficulties create you. Speak to that, Tommy.
Well, if you had everything easy, you go to the grocery store, you can buy anything you want to, buy the nicest car you could ever have a dream of, live in the biggest house you could dream of. What would life be like? It'd be temporarily happy, but it's temporarily. With Jesus, everything is permanent, and that's what we're going after.
All right, now I set you up. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you really, whatever you're doing, cut everything else off. Hello, Aunt Dean, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Love you so much. Appreciate you joining me. I want you to cut everything off, and I want you to pay close attention to this program today and pay close attention to what I just said. I asked him 2 pointed questions. I said, have you ever told God in some of the hardest seasons of your life? Listen up, Aunt Dean. Listen up, Sister Winsley. And you will identify with this because you know I love you and respect you so much, and you're still standing, and others that are listening. I said, have you ever told God in your hardest seasons when it seems like the bottom has fallen out in life? You've lost loved ones. You've had unexpected news. And I want you to repeat this again. I said, do you ever tell God enough is enough? And your response timing was what?
You miss out on the blessings.
Then I said, do you ever get tired of having difficult seasons? And you said difficult seasons create you.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Well, the thing of it is, if everything was easy, like I just mentioned, what would be the really purpose? You would have nothing really to work your mind with, to solve problems and create opportunities and help other people. Just there's so much you can do. But if everything was perfect like that, on earth, it's just not meant to be.
Now, listen, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. I'm going somewhere. I'm woven this program differently, all right, this introduction differently. Tommy is known, his name is known the world over, okay? He's known the world over. Listen to me just quickly. I'm gonna start from the most recent, go down. 2025 nominee, Elite Music Award Songwriter of the Year. 2025 nominee, New Music Award, New Adult Contemporary Artist Group of the Year. 2025 finalist, World Music Award Best Modern Country Song. 2025 nominee, ISSA Songwriter of the Year. 2024 winner, Museboat Song of the Year, Think of Me. 2024 nominee, Josie Award, Songwriter of the Year and Video of the Year. 2024 winner, Elite Music Award Single of the Year, You Are My Life, My Love Forever. 2024 nominee, Elite Music Award Single of the Year, Think of Me. 2024 winner, ISSA Songwriter of the Year. 2024 finalist, ISSA Music Video of the Year. 2024 nominee, NMA AC Crossover Artist Band of the Year. 2024 winner, NMA AC Breakthrough Artist of the Year. 2024 winner, IMN Songwriter of the Year. 2023 winner, IMN Inspirational Song of the Year. 2023 nominee, NMA Country Breakthrough Artist of the Year. Winner, 2022 IMN Inspiration Song of the Year. 2022 winner, New Music Award Country Music New Group of the Year. 2022 winner, Museboats Live Song of the Year. 2021 nominee, NMA Crossover Artist of the Year. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Before all of this, and you can see, for those of you that are streaming live, you can see all of the awards, the accolades over my shoulders. All of this has come after he experienced probably the most recent hard season of his life, the passing of his beloved wife, Deborah. Speak to that, Tommy.
I could speak forever on that, to be honest with you. It's just the kind of wife I had. The first priority she had in life was Jesus. She loved Jesus. Everything, she was not perfect by no means, but I'd never met a woman like that. We became so close. Worked together, played together, traveled. We just done everything together. We made a relationship that God speaks of the Bible, that you become as one. And I know the world finds it hard to believe, but when you reach that type of relationship, becoming as one, it's unbelievable. It's just an experience that most people never have because of their relationship with Jesus. They don't have that. But I loved her with all my heart, and just watching her die every day in front of me was for 3 years was tolling. It was unbelievably hard. I've never faced anything like that. But what I did was we kept the faith strong and done everything we could to keep her here. And then she went home, and God healed her there. And I have peace that as much as you can have, but it's left a scar behind me. It's healed, but it's always going to be there because God teaches us to love. And when you love like Jesus teaches, you love deep. And you grieve the same way.
Interestingly enough, that after the funeral, and I invite you, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you, our radio program, we take commercial. Kim, you're so on it. Our radio program, we have to take commercial breaks for, reasons of our broadcast license. But I invite you to join me tomorrow at 11 o'clock on ignitems.tv. That's our website. That's our digital platform. And we're on like 10 other digital platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Pandora, iHeart, Apple. Go to those platforms and watch our program tomorrow at 11 o'clock, ignitems.tv. And you will want to hear the journey, the story, the testimony of Tommy Rice, because people see him now. And I say this because he wouldn't dare say what I'm about to say. He is a man of incredible affluence. People know his name, particularly in the music industry, in the real estate industry. He is a staple in the community, but he uses his affluence to advance the kingdom because he grew up without it. Let's talk about you growing up. Who you are now is not who you've always been, because you have substance now, material according to man's eye. You have significant wealth now, which you look at as like, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to God, and I used to build God's kingdom, and it doesn't influence me because I didn't grow up that way. Speak to that.
Well, as children, we had a hard life. Dad wasn't there for us that much, but later in life we got saved and become a dad for us. And we had bullied at school. You'd go to school, they made fun of your clothes and what you drove, if you had anything to drive. And our car had no reverse. Many times we'd go to the grocery store and Mom would pick out all the things she needed and take it out of the buggy. And just people kind of looked down there because you didn't have anything. But I never felt sad by it. I just thought it was kind of way over life for us, so I was a happy child. But as time went on along, I was able to get a good job, and one of the highest delights in my life was buying Mama a new dress and a pair of shoes and going to church with her. And people looked at us a little different then. It's just the way life is in the world today. They kind of look down on you if you don't have anything. And then I realized that people like that, you might want to listen to them, because most of them, if they have happy, they love Jesus, and Jesus is their rock. He's their rock.
So and I've said this many times, Tommy. You're not impressed with your material wealth, because God is not. But I've said this, and I want to make sure that this is clear. God, and I say it with broken English, God don't mind us having stuff. He don't want stuff having us. He created wealth, and he's not intimidated by wealth. But he has bestowed wealth upon some to build his kingdom, not to build bigger barns for themselves to store material possessions so that they can snoot down at other people.
Well, it takes money to build churches and to help people that's hungry and homeless, and people that's money to have pay their bills. So it's just part of the life, and you work hard, you can help other people, and that's what God wants us to do. But it's just a matter of a childhood kind of molded me the man I try to be. Because when I get a store and I see people looking down on people or say something out of line, I have to speak up in a quiet and very polite way and stand up for them, because I know what it's like to be talked down to because if you don't have the right stuff on, wear the right clothes. But it's so sad. The greatest things in life is not money. It's not how big a car you have or how big a house you live in. It's your love that you got in your heart. Because that creates peace in your life, and peace is priceless. It cannot be bought by any form of this world. Nothing this world can buy.
But one of the things that has been constant is that your mother, even from a very humble beginning, and you said there were some times you would be with your mother and you go to the grocery store, and she would determine that she wouldn't have enough money to purchase all that she had put in her basket. She would have to take some things out of her basket, but you never heard her complain about things.
She never complained about it. And that's one thing I was so glad when I was a young boy. I bagged groceries and things of that nature when I was a kid to make extra money before Mama could be able to buy her groceries and stuff like that and buy things for her. It made me so happy. But It's just that when you get the love of Jesus in your heart, it makes you humble and thankful and appreciative, and it makes you want to do things like that, especially to your parents, and your loved ones.
Well, let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about, growing up, you making up in your mind that, I'm going to make something out of myself, even though people would make fun of me. I would get bullied, because of my weight, because of my height. I'm going to make something out of myself. Let's talk about that.
Well, when I was in school, that was a big issue. There was the size I was. I was so small. I was 5'2", 98 pounds when I was 18 years old. And I kept getting bullied, but what I did, I didn't look at it as negative. I looked at it as it give me determination to make something out of myself. And that's what I tried my best to do is find a good job. And fortunately, we had a deacon at our church that was a personnel director at Sears Roebuck in Tuscaloosa. And I was able to get a job and make money. In those days, you make $1.06 an hour. And I was able to make more than that and able to help more my mom and my family to pay their bills and keep our house, Just simple things. And when you live like that, you never forget it. No matter how much money you have, no matter anything like that, you never forget that. You always, what I've learned about people, I do business a lot of times, if they're not humble, they generally have Jesus in their heart. That's one of the outstanding personalities a person has is being humble and thankful, and being happy, even during the hardest times.
Does money make you happy, Tommy?
You can't have it's a temporary happiness. Jesus is permanent. So which do you choose? That's a no-brainer. You want to be permanently happy. And Jesus, you can be. You'll have your hard times, but that's going to help mold you to be into a better person and be a better man or better woman,
And so for those that don't like having hard times, that they're constantly asking Jesus, take this away from me, what you said before we came over the air, I'm like, man, I had to push my chair back. Then what you're saying is, God, I don't want to grow in you.
Well, one thing I've learned through my life is God's going to say, will he stick by me if he loses his wife? Will he stick by me if he's got cancer, terminal cancer? It's just things like that you look at, and the answer to me was I would, yes.
Hold that point. I want you to continue that point. I have learned, Tommy, has it been painful? Yes. Do I want to go back through it again? No. Difficult seasons are difficult. Pain is pain, and you can't brush it off. But some of the greatest growth I've had in my life is as a result of the Lord pruning me and refining me and putting me in the corner. So I have no other way but to access him for relief, for my answers. And I've had my greatest growth spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, but more importantly, spiritually. I've come to know the Lord greater, deeper, more intimately as a result of the hard storms that I've had in my life. And when we come back out of commercial break, I want you to speak to that.
Okay.
Again, I invite you to join us tomorrow at 11 o'clock for our full, unedited, behind-the-scenes conversation with Tommy Rice at 11 o'clock on IgniteMS.tv. You're going to be blessed. So, Tommy, let's talk about that. Let's talk about conclude your thought.
Well, what I've learned is when I pray to him about something major in my life, or something not major in my life, he wants to hear all of them, but he also wants to hear the good things in our life that he does for us. He wants to hear those things and to be thankful for it. It excites me to see when I pray, it's going to be done in his time. It's not going to be done in my time, it's in his time. When it finally gets answered, it's exciting, the results, because it's perfect. He solved the problem perfectly, and he's the only one who can do that.
You were one of the most recognized nationally real estate brokers. You had a car dealership, and you sold them. You got out of it. You spent 3 years walking with Deborah as far as you could, and you surrendered her hands and yours to Christ.
That's right.
All right. As she transitioned. You went to the funeral, okay, one of the most difficult seasons you've had to face. You went to the funeral, you came home, and you opened the door.
Well, it's just when I usually open the door, she's there. And Deborah is a type that really show her love. And I couldn't wait to get the hug or the kiss and welcome me home. And, and she's got a meal for us to eat. And just sit down. We were, first of all, best friends. I think any relationship in life, if it derives from being a best friend with Jesus is in your life, it's the most amazing relationship. As friendships, you kind of just talk about everything. When you're dating, you try to put on your best, so to speak, not a mask, so to speak. But when you're friends, you just sit down and talk about everything. And that friendship led into a marriage that God set up. But when that's gone, no matter how much you love Jesus, how close you are, you're human. And you're always going to be that way. And it was killing me. And it did for a while after that. But I went in the room, her room, and her room was like a hospital. Like we had special beds, we had special recliners. And her recliner, I sat in that. And there again, I said, God, my heart is tearing apart. It's terrible. I mean, I'm just used to her here. And I said, you know that you taught me to live this way. And now you took her home. But I don't blame you for it. You took her away and you got the pain. And then I felt the strangest feelings like I felt in an auto accident I had in 2000 when it was a near-death experience. And that spirit was a spirit of peace that started putting peace back in my life gradually. And then God gave me a gift of this music to use as His ministry. And that was unbelievable gift because it's kept me alive. It made me whole once again to not go around grieving as much. And I was grieving heavily. I admit it because I loved her so much. And it was just me and her. We had no children, and we were just doing everything together. But that's what the outcome of that is now I'm trying my best to spread His word in music, and I'm trying my best to write the songs that would inspire people. And I can't do it without Him. So everything I start, I try to pray first, and that's in life.
So, Tommy, I want you to look at the people. And I want you to encourage them because there's some people that are watching this program right now. And we have a lot of delivery drivers that listen to this program by radio. And so they're listening to this program, but they feel stuck. They feel hopeless. They feel alone. They're lonely. And they feel like their days ahead is nothing but darkness. And they feel abandoned. They feel deserted. They feel betrayed by God. All right. And they just don't see any hope. How would you speak to that?
Everything you're feeling right now is the devil speaking to you. He's trying to give you words of negativism to make you miserable and make you blame God for it. But the day you do this, the day you get on your quiet place and get on your hands and knees, if you're able to do that, and you ask God, tell Him all your troubles, tell Him how much you love Him, and tell Him you believe in Him, have faith in Him, and you can change anything, any time, and you're perfect in every way, things will start changing for you. It might not be the same day, but what I highly suggest for you to do this, if you'll take out every day to read, study, pray, and spread His word, when you help others, you help yourself more.
Wow.
So what you do when you're down like this, that's just a temporary thing with God in your life because He's the rock. He's going to put you. So you're put here with a talent. Most people never find out what it is. With God, you find that talent. And when you find that talent, your job becomes a hobby. Your life becomes a life that you want to be nice, you want to be humble, and help people. And that's what I pray for you. The quiet time is important. If you'll take that time and do that, I promise you, you'll see things start changing. And
you know
God
what?
Take care of that.
And it's interesting, and I want you to hear this, and I want you to hear this, ladies and gentlemen. Tommy was in the real estate business 44 years. He owned a car dealership 27 years. Had, according to man's eye, had extraordinary success. But it seems as though in the latter half of your life, you're as alive and as passionate and as motivated as the first half of your life.
But it's not me doing that. It's my spirit. It lives inside of me.
That's powerful. That's a word.
It makes me into the person that you're seeing now.
But for those that would say, Tommy, I don't, listen, I'm too old. Hold on. For those that would say, I'm too old, I'm too black, I'm too white, I live in the wrong zip code, I'm of the wrong social economic class, I don't have the right name, I don't go to the right church, I wasn't reared by the right mom and daddy. What would you say to that?
First thing is take don't out of your vocabulary.
Oh,
That is a negativism. When you fill your mind full of negativism, you get negative results.
talk.
If you feel full of positive results, God's results, you get positive results.
Yes.
So what side do you want to be on, so to speak? But you're going to have to pull yourself out of that, because I understand. I can see in my life, I've been here long enough to see what you're talking about in reference to what Larry just said. And it just turns my stomach to see people have done that way, and it just breaks your heart. But all that's changing. All that's getting better. And I pray, God, that you're able to find you something, a job you're looking for. Surround yourself with friends that's positive believers.
Yes.
Find friends that will edify you and build you up. If you're around people that's constantly drinking, doing drugs, things of that nature, that's not going to build anybody up. It's going to destroy. It's like a temper. It does one thing, it totally destroys everything. But love doesn't do that.
You know what? And I've learned you're going to become, and you're going to be, listen to, this. Now, I was inspired by what you just said. Now, this is a deep statement I'm about to make, Tommy. You're going to become what you're around. You're going to become who you listen to. You're going to become what you watch. Okay? You just said, if you listen to negativity, you're going to become negative. If you listen to positivity, you're going to become a positive person. When we were growing up, we used to hear the slogan, "You are what you eat."
That's right.
Junk in, junk out. Health in, healthy food in, healthy for. So if you're not as you desire to become, then you've got to make some changes.
That's right.
Don't you?
That's exactly right. Well, I tell you, when you start out your day, to go to, like, I remember the first grade. I never forget this. We was in first grade, and I was always the smallest one till later in life. They would bully me about playing a little ball, and they would jump on top of me and try to suck the air out of me and just being mean to me. If I looked at every negative thing in my life, I would be negative my entire life. And,
wow.
And I don't look at things that way. I look at that as a stepping stone to success, God's success. We're not talking about stuff. We're talking about God's success. See, once you acquire that,
that's good.
Once you acquire that, if you were to have success with things, you got a nice home, which you deserve that. You don't look at it as your house anymore. You look at it as a blessing. And when you look at it as a blessing, you realize where it comes from. And the closer you get to Him, the happier you become.
You know, you said something earlier on the podcast, and I keep alluding to it. I invite you to go and watch our program tomorrow at 11 o'clock on IgniteMS.tv, and you're going to be blessed with it. But listen, the Lord desires for us to live an abundant life. He said, I come that not only that you have life, but have it more abundantly. We have no greater cheerleader than the Lord.
That's right.
We number one, we have no greater cheerleader than the Lord. And you alluded to something, and I've said this almost to Ignacium. I was told this years and years ago. It is not only important that you know who you love, but it's important to know who loves you. And more importantly, that who loves you love the Lord Jesus Christ. Because those people will be in your life to tell you what you need to hear rather than what you want to hear, and being cheerleader for the wrong things that you're doing and giving excuses for it. When I've been in your presence, now I know you have pains, I know you have aches, but when it is hard to be in Tommy Rice's presence and not leave motivated, like you just want to be Superman or Superwoman and just run through that brick wall. Where does that come from, Tommy?
Well, see, when I talk about work, when I want to work and have those companies, what I try to do is make sure God is happy with what I'm dealing with, whether it be the house or car. And I worked hard, made sure that it was checked out by professional people before I even put my name on it. My name was everything. My name is everything. But I'm trying to please God first, because as a Christian, you're supposed to be the best at what you do. Now, as far as the money situation, to have a nice home or a nice car to drive is a gift. It's a blessing. Don't be ashamed of that. What I do, realize, and everything I have is going back 100%. It's just me. So therefore, everything I've got set up, or whatever God has blessed these lives to have, is going right back to His work, and that's what I want it to do, because I know that's what He wants, and that's what I deep down want to do. But
you spend a lot of time, a lot of your ministry, a lot of your writing, a lot of your book with Deborah. And you focus on her because it seems like it's very therapeutic. You haven't forgotten about her. She's still there. She inspires you to write. You wrote this book. You wrote this book when she passed. Miss her more today than ever before. You can get this book on Amazon. You can get it at all of the outlets. What motivated? Was this your first writing after her passing?
Yeah. Well, what the grief class I went to motivated me to told me, asked me that I should share a story to help you get through some hard time. When you write things down, it helps you handle things better. That's what started it. I didn't know how to write anything.
I've learned to do that, by the way, and excuse me for interruption. I've learned to journal. You know, when I was in seminary.
It's like constant.
Yeah, I've learned how to journal. Journaling is therapeutic for
That's
me.
Right.
It helps me get out what I'm thinking.
Well, it takes what's in your mind, puts it on paper where you can look at it.
That's good.
That makes your mind and paper unite. Is what it does, and it makes you understand it better. And that's what I do. But the book is just Deborah was type woman that if she walked into a restaurant, she had a glow about her. And what that means is you can just look at her face, her facial expression of her face is just humbleness and loving and kind and gentle. And when people see that, they don't see much of that now. And when they see it, they generally want to know more about it. And she spent her life all being that way. And as long as I remember, she's that way. And I just love going to tables and making new friends. But she was just so Hollywood. I mean, just so
listen,
so live.
I'm doing this. I'm really holding this picture up because I want the people to see the smile on Deborah's face. I want you to pay. I'm going to talk about that. I want you to do two things before we go on commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to look at her smile, and I want you to look at her eyes. And what you see is peace and joy and love. This is in the middle of her struggle with cancer battle. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, now talk about this. Talk about this.
This is a woman that woke up one Monday morning, and couldn't read her Bible. She was just searching for the words. I knew something was so strange going on. So I got the ambulance there as quick as I could get it and went to the hospital. And they, fortunately, I was on top of things. I said, please get her back there now. Get her, find out what this is. So they did. And it came back a tumor the size of a baseball. Getting news like that, somebody you love it, it's horrific. It's just I can't explain it in words. It's just the memories still hurt, and that's just part. Because we're human, we love them. So but I said, let's get it out. Let's get it out as soon as we can. So they did. The next day, we got it out, and it came back to us. From the doctor walked in the room, and he said, "This is brain cancer. It's glioblastoma." And what that means is it's the worst cancer you can have. The cancer just takes over your body, and you treat it with all you can. And we got some treatments, and that may help slow it down. And you look at each other, you start crying. And then what you do then is start kissing each other, hugging each other. And I said, and her friends was with us. I said, I'm going down. I don't believe about going. She knew I was going to the chapel. It's time to talk to Jesus. Now, in life, you need to know when that time is.
Ooh.
Whenever you go through life, if you ever doubt in time, spend time with Jesus. It's always a good answer. He's perfect in every way, and it'll be a right answer. But she knew what I was doing. So I went down to the chapel, and I said, God, please heal her body. Please, God, give her the treatments. Give her the right doctor to help her, because you know how I love her so deeply. So we go back in the room, and she looked at me. She was able to speak something because they took the tumor out. And she had broken words. But what she said to me was, I knew where you was going. So I looked at her, and she looked at me. And I said, baby, we're going to fight this. I said, I knew exactly that's what she's doing. Well, about an hour later, we had negative news from him. In walked Ruth Frederick, Dr. Frederick. And she talked to us, said, he's not God. He don't know when you're going to die. And she thought just like we would go fight it. For 3 years, she was unbelievable, and that's how it started. So then when she died, you could see as close as we were how it hurt so badly. But that's just things we have to deal with.
I was trying to find a picture of Deborah prior to her battling cancer. And by the way, she won the victory.
She got the victory.
She got the victory. But let me tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, you log on tomorrow at 11 o'clock, ignitems.tv, and that's not a cheap, cheesy plug for my program. But you'll be able to see a before picture and during a picture. And the reason that I want to show you that is because during her battle, you said she gained a lot of weight. I want you to talk about that part. But hold on. I want you to talk about that when we come out of commercial break because I want everybody to see. I know it sounds confusing. I know it sounds as a paradox, and it is. And I know it sounds as if it is a conundrum, and it is, that character comes out of pain and grief. Your Christian character is developed. Now, let me just be superficial for a moment. Deborah was and is a beautiful, striking young lady. I'm being respectful, Tommy. As she started going through therapy, you said she gained how many pounds?
160 pounds.
160 pounds, and that's on this book.
Mm-hmm.
That's on this book. So tomorrow you'll be able to see the before the battle and during the battle. That's not my point. My point is not what we see superficially, the veneer of our exterior, but I want you to take a look at Deborah's eyes and that smile. Talk to that, Tommy.
Deborah was something you see in a movie. Long black hair, a face that's just beautiful. She just, the first time I saw her, I was just taken. I mean, I was speechless, you know what I'm saying? When I said, wow, I said, this is amazing. But one of the greatest qualities she had, her love of Jesus first, was she was beautiful equally as inside as outside. Mm-hmm. And that's to us a winning combination, to live your life with a woman that loves Jesus and beautiful inside and out. That's a dream. Let's turn the time frame up a little bit. And this woman now is having to take radiation. They call it to kill weeds. Glioblastoma has veins in it, so to speak, or limbs in it. And what it does, it tries to control your mind, or just trap your mind, like to choke it like there. They're just trying to kill those to lengthen her time here. Then the chemo started. It was so strong we couldn't breathe it. The person, you know, like when you're around her, when she used the restroom and stuff like that. It may be gross, but I'm trying to tell you how bad it was. And then she started having seizures and strokes, heart issues. Her skin started to fall off. It was just, I could go on, but I'm not going to go on because it's too, it would make you, it's graphic. It's graphic. It's just terrible. But when I talk about it, kind of, I still get a little bit. But I'm trying to tell you things that would, to make you understand how deep love we had. But one thing I noticed, she never complained. We went for a rally to run for the cure at a hospital here. She weighed like 300 and some pounds. To me, she was more beautiful now than ever. I fell in love with her even more. I thought that was impossible to fall in love again like that. That's stronger than what I already had, but it's possible. I admired her so much. She got out on the line to give out the awards, little things for awards, as the runners run through. That morning, she couldn't even get out of bed. And she looked at me and said, and she had her girlfriends there, I'm going to the run for the cure. If it kills me, I'm going. So y'all get me ready. And that's what we did. That's the kind of woman she was, kind of wife she was. And that's why that you love her and miss her so deeply. That is, God gave her the strength that she never would have made it. But I just...
and ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look at those eyes. I want you to look at this smile. Tommy, she knew what she was going through.
That's right.
She wasn't oblivious to what she was going through.
She didn't want to leave me here.
Yeah.
She knew it was just me alone then. And she didn't want that. So she fought with everything she had. But the strange thing about this story is her brother died of the same thing, glioblastoma, 2 months before she did.
Wow. And you shared that up until the day that she was cognitively aware, she was ministering to people.
We finally got the wheel. We got her in the wheel with church. She didn't want to go, but she had to. She had me push. In Dr. Ruth's office, a lot of cases are trauma cases. So there's a whole people lined up. Can you imagine living where you're told you've got 3 months to live? Can you imagine living in that much pain? Would you keep God in first place? Is a question would you ask yourself? Would you blame him for it? He's putting you through a trial now. Tell me what you're going to do. I know that. I could just feel that. But she was still trying to bring joy to somebody else. I want to be more like her. I think sometimes these songs, she's got to help put that together, you know. But she was amazing.
So to date, you started as a way of coping,
right?
Therapy.
Right.
Wrote a book, this book, okay. And your first song that you wrote, what's the title of your first song?
Mr. More Day Than Yesterday.
Talk to us about that.
It's been
song.
7 years.
Yeah.
It's still the same way.
Yeah. Talk to us about that.
I don't want to forget her, first of all.
You should.
Why would you forget somebody like that?
Yeah.
We need more Deborahs in this world.
Yeah.
The more Deborahs, you wouldn't have these people jealous of you and making fun of you or laughing at you because you live in a house about to fall down or you're wearing the wrong clothes. That wouldn't be happening. But it's happening. And unfortunately, it's happened more than ever because every generation seems to change. They be not as close to God as they once were. They're not taught as much at home as we were about the Bible and read the Bible too, putting God in first place.
Your season of pain, and you said something earlier as well. You don't ever get over it. You just learn to live with it. It is as a scar.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a scar on my arm. When I was a little boy, I was riding my bicycle. My mom told me not to ride it, and I rode it anyway. I went through one side to another side, went through a gate fence, and fell, and the barbed wire slit my arm, and I don't feel the pain, but I see the scar.
Right.
Every time I see the scar, I remember the episode.
Well, yeah, Deborah always laughed. Even during the adversity, she was laughing. And it came to my mind when I was thinking about that scar. It's God's way of telling us, don't do it again. You got a scar there. Do you want another one? He does that a lot in life, though, if you think about it. Don't do that.
So you have written over 200 songs.
Oh, recorded. We got 200
recorded. Some of your songs have gone all the way to number one. Some of the groups that you've written for have gotten awards. You know, Artist of the Year, Group of the Year, Band of the Year, Video of the Year. I want to use a word like amazing, but there are certain words I just reserve. Like, I'm very careful using words like, you know, I reserve words like love for like God and for my wife and my children and my friends. I don't say, and now it's not like I didn't do it because I used to do it, but the more I mature in God's word, I'm very reserved as to how I use words with God, and I use those same words with man. In other words, I say, boy, that's amazing. I try to refrain from using that when I'm referring to man, because I use that when I refer to God, and I want to separate him with in his majesty and his often awesomeness. And I also reserve words like love. I don't say, man, I love this cheesecake. I like the cheesecake because when I say love,
Yeah.
I want the word love to mean something.
That's right.
But what I'm hearing you say is that your love for Deborah, your love for the Lord, your love for Deborah was as a result of your depthness for God.
So much
Your
I'd have,
depthful love for God.
so much I would have died for, took her place, and leave her behind.
Literally.
Literally, and that was in the chapel. Now, one thing about the music is really amazing, and God allowed this happen. Those awards are for the music and me writing the song. We haven't written anything for anybody else.
Wow.
Singers. We try. We own with Sony now. We're trying to possibly do a song that way, but we're working on that. But the reason I pointed that out is let you know that God allowed that to happen.
Isn't that something?
It's not Tommy Rice, but I'm saying
It's
that
God through you.
That's right.
It's
God
good through
me.
it.
That's right.
And ladies and gentlemen, there's an incredible library there. If you'd like to go and listen to some of the songs, you can go to Tommy Rice Music.
Tommy Rice YouTube is your best source.
Tommy Rice YouTube.
All
Our producer is putting it up on the screen. Man, you're gonna go there. You're gonna go there. Like one day last week, I just went there and got lost. When I say got lost, I just went from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing, and I'm like, wow. But you didn't have this plan, did you, Tommy?
Well, see, I didn't do this for any kind of glory from putting Tommy Rice's name out. I did this because I know that's what Deborah would want me to do, and most important, I knew that's what God wanted me to do. It's just a ministry.
And where were you born? Where were you born, Tommy?
Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
And I knew that, but I just had to ask that because I'm trying to make a point. A young man to come from humble beginning, now his name and his work is known the world over. And you go to some of the videos or some of the music that he has written, you log on and they've gotten thousands and hundreds of thousands of views and millions of views. Do you have to pinch yourself sometime and say, God, how did you do this through little old Tommy?
It makes you more humble. To think, can you imagine it? To think that God would allow you to do that? To take His words He puts in your head and you write it on paper. That is, and then you spend your life out with this, and you wake up one day and you look at Him face to face. That's what it's all about.
One of the things that blesses me regarding our relationship, you're so approachable. You're so unimpressed with yourself, but you're so approachable and you're so willing to say, man, listen, let me tell you what God is telling me to tell you. You're not you're not impressed with your status in life. Because, so how do you keep other people from being impressed with your status? Because I'm sure there are people out there, Tommy, you're great, man. You're great. Man, you've written the number one song of the year, the number one song, the video of the year, da-da-da-da. How do you keep yourself grounded?
Well, I just tell them quit like where it came from, first of all, and don't give me any credit for it. And I make it very clear on these shows I'm on and stuff like that. It's very simple. I said, I'm just a tool. I'm a tool being used and that's what He wanted. The last thing He said, spread my word, and that's what I'm trying to do. And I try my best, bear in mind we got the human factor. You got the human factor. Go human. That's the reason I always try to go over and over things, and maybe something I didn't understand right to make it right.
What advice would you give someone who feels I have something burning on the inside of me, but I don't know how to get it out, Tommy?
Pray it out. Take it and pray it out. I'm going to tell you that the thing about prayer is that you'll learn with time, and I got a lot more to learn about everything. Trust me. I've learned, though, what little I know about this is I pray, and the more I pray, the more closer you get to God. The more closer you get to God, the more you understand things about this life here on earth. And the more you understand things about life here on earth, you learn to cope with it better. And a lot of people's got talents inside of them, growing inside of them, afraid to use it. I can't do this and I can't do that. All I can tell you is close your eyes. If it's writing a song or whatever, writing a book or whatever you want to do, and just ask, God, I don't know how to do this. Always be honest with Him. He knows the answer anyway. He knows the future.
Yeah.
see what happens.
You
You'll
know?
be amazed at what can happen just by asking. If you don't ask for it, you're never going to get it.
And that's a great segue. I'm not laughing at you. My mind, as you were talking, my mind just reflected on a previous conversation that you and I had at a restaurant, and I share some things with you. And you say, "Man, let's make the phone call." Well, let's just do it. So after I left that time with you, man, I felt like I could run across, I could run through a brick wall, and the brick wall would be in trouble.
My faith increases with every prayer.
That's good. My faith
increases with every prayer. And here's why it increases every prayer. Because you're praying to the perfect person, the person that made us. So every time you pray, it increases that.
My uncle used to say, I didn't understand it. I just thought he was just rhyming because he was a great rhymer. My uncle used to say when I was a little boy, well, I heard it when I was a little boy. He used to say, little prayer, little power, no prayer, no power.
That's right.
Much prayer, much power.
What you notice is the world wants to pull you in on their way of life with materialism, but they're never happy. You can have nothing and be with Jesus and be happy.
Hold that thought.
I've been there.
Hold that thought. You said you can have a lot of stuff, be unhappy, and have nothing according to man's perspective, and have peace. And I understand that.
And here's why. Because you don't put your sights on things of this world. You put your sights on God above. And that's why it's that way, in my opinion.
And that's the issue that the man had. That's the issue, and I think of two. That's the issue that the man had that was rich. He looked at his wealth and said, I'm wealthy. Rather than me being a warehouse to help be a blessing, I'm just going to build a bigger barn and store my wealth. Holy Spirit came to him and said, fool, your soul has been required to you tonight. I'm reminded of the story of the rich young ruler came to Jesus and said, what can I do to be saved? Jesus said, do this, do that. He said, I've done all of that. I've kept the commandment. Jesus said, sell all you have and give it to the poor. He considered his wealth. He didn't want to give it up. He walked away sad. And Jesus says, then you got some issues. Hold on. And I say this, my guest today is Tommy Rice. I say this again, I don't want there to be any ambiguity in what I'm saying. God does not mind us having stuff. He just does not want stuff to become our idol, which is a distraction from him because he's a jealous God. He wants our affection. All right, let me put a little scripture on it. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Listen to this. And all things shall be added unto you. That's Matthew 6:33. That's Matthew 6:33. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct their path. God does not mind you having stuff. He just don't want stuff having you.
Well, I've watched people that started companies with nothing, and it built up, started making some money. And they went too early at buying the bigger houses and the finer cars and all that thing. And that's where their heart was. And they lost it because they was making money, but things change in business. Some days you're going to have some economies are down, especially in real estate. You have cycles where you buy, cycles where you sell. And what happens is that when that cycle comes that you're not able to sell, you want to go ahead and get things that you wanted. You got them, but you couldn't keep them. Everything God offers, you keep.
Wow.
And it's permanent.
In man's economy, it's cyclical. Up, down, you keep, you lose. You just said a very powerful statement. What God gives you, you keep.
Well, I tell you, like I told you there, if I would trade everything I own to have Deborah back in my life. Well, but I won't. What I mean is, I know God's already made a decision now, and she's in heaven now, and I'm happy she's not suffered, and I'm sure she's entertaining everybody up there because she's out of the way. But I think that's wonderful, and I'm happy. But what keeps me going? I will see her once again.
Yeah. What is, and I don't want to relegate it to okay, I've learned a lesson, but what are some of the takeaways and lessons that you've learned about life and about God that you share through your music writing or authoring a book about life. You're experiencing with love with Deborah, your transition of Deborah, your growing up with nothing, and I keep that in quotes because you got everything, because you had a loving mother, and she introduced you to the Lord,
Priceless.
so you had everything. All right. What lessons have you learned about God that you would want to share with the audience?
Well, the first thing I learned about
I want you to look at him and talk to him.
The first thing I learned about is how much he loves me and all he's done for me. And I thank him every day for that. But I was thinking about what we talked about a few minutes ago, is when I was in business, when I made mistakes, I would fix the mistake myself. Like one time I bought a house that had termite damage, and I didn't get a termite certificate because I was in a hurry. And that was my mistake. So to punish myself, I went and fixed that house myself. Got up on that house, didn't know much what to do. I learned the best to get that. And I fixed it myself. I sweated, and it's just up on the house. It's claustrophobic. It's kind of way, but that way I learned from it. And that's what you do in life. You find a mistake, correct it, and you punish by it, correct that, and God puts you back on the right track.
And I believe, the enemy wants to keep you in that guilt state. You're not worthy of it. But God, through the story of the prodigal son, he dismantled that notion that God is not a God of grace. He is a God of justice, but he's a God of grace and mercy. That if you come to him, you'll find one thing about God. His arms are always open.
Well, that's his job, the devil, to do that. His whole desire is to see you poor, homeless, hungry,
mad, angry,
don't love Jesus, don't even read the Bible. He's after that. But one way to get rid of that is close your eyes, say, in Jesus' name, leave my mind, and believe it. That doesn't mean you're going to come back, but God can overpower that and keep your mind as clear as it possibly can be as a human being.
One thing, and we'll conclude by this, one thing that when you go on the website, you'll notice a room, an area in Tommy's house. And it was like a chapel. It was like the prayer room. I encourage each of you to get a space in the corner of the kitchen, in the corner of your bedroom, in a closet, even in the bathroom. Yes, the bathroom. Carve out your space that you can go and unplug from the noise and the distraction of the world, and be dedicated, be intentional to spend some time with the Lord, because it is that place that you will find out not only do you want to talk to him and need to talk to him, but you will find out he has been anxious to talk to you, and you will get more clarity about your life in your quiet spot.
After Deborah passed, I guess I was there about every other hour during the night. I still worked during the day. I still, wasn't like I was working like I should. I was doing the best I could. But one thing that kept me going, if I didn't do that, I noticed as the weeks and months went about, I was spending less time there and more time reading and studying more, because I was hurt. I was not thinking as clear as I should have, but God put all that back in proper perspective. And then having the music come about in my life and things of that nature. And I thank him for that every day. It would change your life. Give it a chance. I mean, cut your TV off, cut your radio off. Don't do. He deserves full attention. He deserves that. He deserves you to get on your hands and tell him how much you love him and how much you thank him for everything he's done for you. And thank him for that. And also thank him for the bad time, because they're going to make you into a better person. That's hard to do.
Let me tell you something. I have learned that if you thank him for the bad times, you'll rejoice with him, and you'll look back and say, those were times of pruning, and I'm better off.
Exactly right.
Tommy Rice has been my guest, and you are a delightful friend, and I bless you for it.
I appreciate you. I've
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it so much, Larry.
All right. I'll see you next time. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock, ignitems.tv. God bless you. I'll see you again. Take care of yourself.